Hello everyone. My name is Milind, and on behalf of Praja, I would like to welcome all of you for the webinar. This is our fourth webinar in the series. And before we start, I would like to play a small video to introduce the work that Praja does. Can we have the video, please?
He's given him, section's gone.
When we come together as one, we will be heard. Log on to praja.org, form communities, talk to those in power, and get things done. Praja, let's do something.
Hello and welcome once again. Over the last 4 days, we have had very interesting conversations. We have had 3 very interesting panels where we not only discuss with various stakeholders from different walks of life, how they kind of rose to the challenges that we have faced in the last 4 months due to the COVID pandemic. They not only spoke about the challenges, but also shared some of their learnings and some ideas on what can be done in the future. Most of the points which were discussed over there led to a conclusion that Mumbai definitely needs a very strong, very different, vibrant governance structure. And to talk about that, we have a very interesting panel today, which has that experience and the ability to actually discuss and present solutions on this very important topic. So I'm going to quickly introduce the panel. But before I do that, I would like to give a couple of house rules for the participants and the panelists. We request the panelists to keep their video feed on throughout the discussion, and for the participants, your audio and video feeds are going to be kept off. And if you want to raise any questions, we'll definitely want to have them, and you can put those questions in the chat box, and the team will take it to the moderator. Also, in the end, if the moderator allows, we'll request people to raise their hands, and we can even take a live participation into the panel discussion. So to come to the panel for today's webinar, which is on Udaichi Mumbai, we have with us Shirish Patel ji. Shirish ji needs no introduction, introduction. He has been a very well-known town planner and civil engineer. One of the 3 people who really envisaged the idea of having Navi Mumbai as a satellite town for Mumbai to decongest and make Mumbai more relevant. We have with us Dr. JP Narayan. Dr. JP has an academic background in medical medicine, and later on joined the civil services, and post that has been running Foundation for Democratic Reforms and Lok Sabha Party, where through which he has debated, thought, provoked, and spoken and given sessions to a lot of reforms which have come in the last few years on urban governance, maybe GNRM, maybe second Administrative Reform Commission, and a lot of those places he has been consistently giving feedbacks to. And that's something which we really want to discuss, the governance structures, the urban governance structures for the city of Mumbai. And well, this is really a political economic question. And to talk about that, we had three eminent political leaders from different political parties. We have Priyanka Chaturvedi ji from Shiv Sena, the deputy leader of Shiv Sena and Rajya Sabha MP. We have Yogesh Sagar ji, the urban development, the former urban development minister in the Devendra Fadnavis government and current MLA from BJP. We had Nawab Malik ji, the cabinet minister from the in the current government and from NCP, and who has been on the political scene of Mumbai for a very long time. And to get this panel discussion going and to have very interesting conversation, we have with us Nitai Mehta, who is a founder trustee of Praja, to moderate the discussion. Nitai, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Milind, and welcome once again, everybody, for this wonderful fourth in the series of webinars that Praja has been having since the last few days. I am delighted to have the wonderful panelists with me who are here. There are two parts of this panel that is there. We have people who have been involved in urban planning and urban development, and we have people who have been discussing on reforms and urban reforms. And on the other side, we have people who can actually make this difference. People from the political spectrum, from BJP, Congress, NCP and Shiv Sena. And these are the people who actually can make a difference for Mumbai and for the city and for the citizens of the city. I would just like to sort of give a small brief about and putting a context to what we are planning to talk today. Mumbai and Bombay, before that, has a distinct honor of being described as a prima urbis of India. It is the engine of the Indian economy and entertainment center of India. It has many firsts to its credit. But over the years, we have seen a steady decline in the quality of its social and physical infrastructure. There has been a rapid increase in the population and growth of the city, but clearly the physical and social infrastructure has not been able to keep up with this growth. Urban planning, housing, healthcare, education, physical infrastructure of the city till recently had reached a breaking point. We see that nearly 45% of the population is living in slums. Nearly 7,000 people every year die of tuberculosis. The real estate prices, whether it's commercial or housing, has reached the skies, and it is unaffordable for majority of the Mumbaikars to buy a house or a real estate or a commercial property for themselves. And the quality of life overall for the Mumbai citizens has been miserable. Added to this, we've had the situation of this pandemic, which has really extracted a very high toll on the city. It has extracted and put all the energy and effort of people who govern the city and run the city to keep the city afloat. It has exposed the entire frailty of our systems and the weakness of our system to shocks such as this. In spite of this, Mumbai has come together to tackle this situation. The people, the government have fought really valiantly to save the situation and to save the city from going down. But is this something that we can really look at how we can take this forward? I mean, this pandemic will eventually get over, but do we really want to continue to live in a city which is falling apart? Or do you want to take this opportunity and reimagine Mumbai for all of us and its citizens that we can all be proud of? You know, every crisis actually brings an opportunity with it. The Renaissance in Europe started after the Black Plague in the Middle Ages. Can we make this our moment? Can we create a Renaissance for Mumbai? Can we and for Mumbai and its people? And can we really reimagine Mumbai to make it the city that we all love and a city that is friendly to its citizens and to its people? I have, as Milind mentioned, we have a wonderful panel. And I'd really like to start by asking Mr. Shirish Patel, the question is that as a veteran planner of this city and who has seen how the city has grown, how do you think the city has responded to this pandemic? And what do you think its physical governance and social infrastructure has been able to, how do you think it has been able to cope up with this pandemic? Mr. Patel.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you, Praja, for organizing this very interesting series of webinars. COVID-19 has been such a cataclysmic event that most of us expect it will be followed by cataclysmic changes, a renaissance, as Nitai says. I think that is most unlikely to happen. Let me explain why. Almost 75 years ago, we won our freedom. With that came democracy. But democracy is not a matter of writing a constitution and dusting off your hands, saying, all done, we need to do nothing more. I think we are not yet in possession of the heart and soul of democracy. These lie in the recognition that besides freedoms, citizens have responsibilities. And the principal one is participating in governance. It means taking an interest in governance and making oneself heard. In Tuesday's webinar, our mayor described the structure of our society to a triangle made of politicians in one corner, bureaucrats in another, and civil society in the third. I don't think this is so, except perhaps in Kerala. I think the more correct analogy is the lowercase letter I. The body of society is the pillar below. Floating above, detached, and living in its own world is the Bindu, our political rulers, distinct from the mass below. For millennia, we have been subjects ruled by kings, and that is a mental framework that is hard to change. Our present rulers have replaced the British and continue to rule like kings. Our rulers treat us like subjects. We behave like subjects, all the way up to the highest judiciary. We treat our political leaders as kings. They behave like kings. They think of themselves as kings. And the only difference between now and then is that now kings no longer kill each other to ascend to power. Instead, they slug it out every 5 years at the ballot box. So they spend 4.5 years ruling over us and 6 months ballot boxing. I want to give you 2 examples of the exercise of kingship. The Netherlands is a country which is 1/3 of it is below sea level. The lowest point is 22 feet below sea level. The area of that 1/3 is about 14,000 square kilometers. That is 30 times the size of Greater Mumbai. The country hardly, if ever, floods. Mumbai floods every year without fail. When Navi Mumbai was started with construction at Vashi, the land at Vashi was below sea level. Planners had the choice of putting in 2 meters of landfill or of adopting the Dutch system of ponds, polders or dikes, a holding pond and pumps. These were much cheaper, and this was the solution adopted. This year, as far as I know, there has been no flooding at Vashi. Meanwhile, Mumbai, as usual, has flooded more than once. Like the Netherlands and Vashi next door, it is possible to make Mumbai flood-free. We can have an entire monsoon go by with 0 flooding. I'm not saying Mumbai will never flood, but flooding can be made very rare. Why don't we do this? It's a pure engineering problem. There are no social complications of people to be resettled, no project-affected persons. It does not happen because our rulers are not concerned with the public. They want the Western Coastal Road, the bullet train, the Shivaji statue. Like the Central Vista in Delhi, these are all vanity projects. They puff up multiple kings' egos. They do virtually nothing for people. My second example of the exercise of kingship has to do with land. Government land is not the king's land. It cannot be dealt with as the king desires. In particular, it cannot be monetized for the king's treasury. It's in a democracy, it is public land. It is owned by the public. It has to be put to the best public use. When the textile mills were closed and a change of use demanded by the mill owners to change to residential or commercial use, it was entirely within government's power to impose fresh conditions. That new roads be put through large mill areas, new public roads, that land be reserved for parks and schools and hospitals and playgrounds. None of this was done. Mill owners, the lower order kings, were at liberty to do what they liked with the land. which meant in effect maximizing profit and not maximizing public benefit. Not all land has to be put on the market. Roads, the land, railway lands, the land under municipal schools and hospitals is not open, it's not in the market, it's not for sale. Why is land for police housing and other low-income housing not public land? Most of the cost in affordable housing is on the account of land. You take land cost out of the equation and you have a perfectly affordable set of schemes for low-income housing. People should by all means pay for the construction cost or for the rental for the cost of construction, but there is absolutely no need for them to pay for land which is owned by government. Take all that land off the market so that profiting from appreciation of land values does not apply and remains for use as low-income housing or police housing for all time, spread all over the city. I agree this is a big ask and that kings are not likely to surrender their land easily, but I think this is the only way in which we can get lands for the public housing that we need. And even bigger ask is to understand the true participative nature of democracy, that to truly have it, you have to go much beyond the once in 5-year battle at the ballot box. I think in India, what we want has to be fought for and won separately from the earlier fight and winning of freedom from the British. Participative democracy has to be fought for, I think, and won, and then continuously defended against marauders like Trump and other would-be dictators around the world. That's all I have to say. Let's see how the discussion goes.
Thank you, Shirishji. I understand your frustration as a person who has seen Mumbai grow. You have seen Mumbai in its heydays and the way Mumbai has developed, and you've been actively a participant of the development of Mumbai. But what is encouraging is that you are also been giving solutions to what can be the problems of the city, whether it is the issue of housing, whether it's the issue of flooding that happens every year. And that's what we like, your optimism of that things can actually happen if we put ourselves together. It's the question is how we really get ourselves together to bring about this change. I would like to now invite Dr. Jaiprakash Narayan. I know he's not a Mumbaikar, but he has given deep thought about what has happened in Mumbai. And he truly believes that Mumbai is the one place that we can really, create a success story for urban India. And to that effect, I'd like to start by asking Dr. Narayan is that how, according to you, that the city governments in India have handled these challenges posed by this pandemic, and what could they have done better to handle the situation? Please, Dr. Narayan.
Thank you, Nitai, Milind, and the Praja team. Now, I listened with great fascination to what Mr. Shirish Patel is saying. He described to us how democracy is not working, even in our cities in general. All of us are deeply concerned about that, irrespective of our political persuasion or economic background or geographic location, etc. But let me focus on slightly different thing. When does democracy work? What are the conditions that we can create to make it work better? And therefore, I'm more optimistic. First, let me take a part of your question, Nitai, before I go into the what can be done in Mumbai to make it an example for the rest of the country. I actually believe, despite a third-rate public health infrastructure in the country, despite an all-round failure, a lot of bravado, but without really deep understanding of the science or the governance, Mumbai managed the COVID crisis better than most cities in the country, probably better than any other city in the country. It's quite amazing, actually. Nobody expected Dharavi to be free from COVID by and large. And there is a very silent spread. We're also lucky because of nature, because of whatever reasons. Now the latest indications are about 40–50% of Mumbaikars have already developed antibodies, but without too much of morbidity and mortality. A significant part of the credit goes to the city government and the remarkable people, the first responders, the doctors, the health workers, the municipal workers, the policemen, the civil society, and a whole lot of others, the political parties, the governments of the city and the cities and the state and national level, all of them. So I see a lot of optimism. When do governments work better? What are the ingredients where things are a little better in Mumbai than elsewhere? I know everywhere things are bad, but we must also see the silver lining. Wherever there is a link, Nitai, between the vote that I give and the consequences that visit upon me in a direct and tangible way, not in a vague Bharat Mata way, in a direct and tangible way. I always give the example of my elevator in the apartment complex where I live. Now, supposing the elevator doesn't function, it's not some Bharat Mata problem. It simply has to function. My elderly mother who lives with me cannot climb up the stairs. Even I am now past 60 and doctors tell me you walk as fast and as long as you want, but don't climb up and down. You better preserve your joints. If I'll holler, whoever is managing that, I'll go, shout, do whatever it takes to make it work. That is what true local governance is about. Reduced our electoral democracy to a jamboree, to a separation, to exaggerated and expectation and frustration and disappointment. And therefore, in general, the only two elements of democracy in our society are vote and protest, shout. But it's a city that's the answer. The city cannot be the source of frustration. It has to be the answer. I'll come to that presently in a moment. The second mechanism that's required to make democracy work is a link between the taxes that I pay in a very direct and tangible manner and the services that I receive. Not a vague disquiet about the government in general, but a very direct consequence. What's happening to the potholes in front of my house, the road in front of my house, or the traffic there, or the school, or the park, or 100 other things that matter, the water supply, the sewerage, the stormwater drainage, and so on and so forth. That is when citizens' voice is more likely to be heard, and the pressure is going to be built to improve things. The third is authority fusing with accountability. In a vast and centralized bureaucracy, everybody has power, nobody has responsibility. Everybody is alibis for non-performance and nobody actually accomplishes anything. That is classic Indian governance in general. But wherever the results flowing in organizations like ISRO, specific contexts like a disaster management or election management in the country, or cities like Mumbai, despite all the travails, actually performing better than elsewhere in the country, therefore give us some glimmer of hope.
We are having some audio problems from Mr. Jaiprakash Narayan. Can you... Is somebody Milind, Aviral? Yes, I think we can see Mr. Narayan again. Can you unmute him, please?
Yes. Am I audible now? Am I audible?
Yes.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are, except your video is...
Okay. I'm sorry for that. So if we... Yeah, there's something. We'll figure out something, but meanwhile, let's continue so that time is not lost. It's technology, you know, my older generation, we don't know how to configure these things. Yeah, okay. If we simply extend these principles, how to link vote with direct consequences to my life, how to link taxes with services, how to link authority with accountability, and make Mumbai the theater, because I have absolutely no doubt Mumbai has the best civil society, it has the best resource base. Mumbai city is already better governed than any other city in the country, though I know Mr. Sirish Patel is right. There are so many things to be done, but we have to always see things in relative terms. And I think there is immense possibility. And villages are not the way forward. I grew up in a village. I am basically a villager. For me, even a million city is a big city. You know, it was very daunting for me. Only now I'm getting used to the idea of living in Hyderabad after about 25, 30 years here. Though I'm pretty familiar with Mumbai, I spent months and months there to look at governance in Mumbai city, and I hope to accomplish something back in 2005-06. I'm really comfortable in a village. But the truth is, villages are no longer self-reliant. Even the little dignity and self-reliance we had in villages, we destroyed them in our political democracy. They became mendicants, and the economic forces being there inexorably, they're making villages weaker, not stronger. And anybody with ambition and ability has to flee from a village in order to survive. And therefore, there's not much leadership left. Therefore, the real spark for rejuvenation of our democracy has to come from cities, because you have the resources, you have people of quality. I mean, people like you, Sirish Patel, and many others. I mean, what more do you want? You have the finest talent available in civil society in cities, and you have less amenable to the normal forces of ugly politics, the money power, the caste and region and religion, and the freebies. Therefore, I think we should be much more optimistic. If we look at redesigning that, for instance, your mayor, some years ago, Nita, I was asking the then Prime Minister of India to tell me the names of mayors of Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, Hyderabad. He could not recall a single name.
Oh, we are again having...
London, or John... Pardon?
I'm sorry, we could not hear the last part.
Am I audible?
Now, please go ahead. Hello? Okay, we are having some technical problems with Sir Jaiprakash Narayan, but I think, have we got through to him? Milind? Yes, we've got him. Unmute, please unmute Mr. Narayan.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, my apologies. I don't know why. This is a particularly bad day, it looks like it. The point I'm making is, when I asked the then Prime Minister to name the mayors of Indian cities, not one person could be named, nor could I name them, to be truthful, because you have reduced even mayors of great cities into ceremonial offices. In fact, the only mayor in India who has some power is Delhi Chief Minister. We call him Chief Minister, but he is the most empowered mayor, though weaker than any other mayor in the world. He is stronger than any mayor in the country. But you go to Mexico City, you go to London, you go to New York, you go to Los Angeles, you go to San Francisco, you go to Sao Paulo, you go to any major city, mayors are significant figures. We have to empower mayors, but one of the key constraints is the constitutional rigidity. Very unwisely, we made the composition of local governments extraordinarily rigid, decided by Delhi. No other federal constitution does the constitution dictate how we elect the local government and what kind of a structure you have. We have to give some flexibility, particularly the reservation for the office of mayor. I understand the importance of representation legitimacy, but let that legitimacy be there at the corporator level. The moment mayor's office is reserved and rotated to a narrow group, SC, BC, and then women, men, all kinds of combinations and ST, what happens is leadership simply does not develop. Pre-independence, some of the finest leaders of India, from Chittaranjan Das to Nehru to Patel to Subhash Chandra Bose to Rajendra Prasad to Prakashan Pantulu to C.R. Das, you name them, every leader came from local governments, city governments. Even post-independence, I have a list of wonderful people, many chief ministers, 28 chief ministers and union cabinet ministers that I could list now. This is only a partial list, who came from local governments until 1993. Post-1993, because of the rigidity of the structure and rotation, there's almost no local government leader. In fact, the only leader who emerged from local government became significant is your own former Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis. Former mayor of Nagpur became chief minister. There is no other example in the country. The model is simply too rigid, does not allow leadership development. Therefore, let us look at either not having reservation for that one office of mayor, have indirect election, there's no harm. And because enough of corporators are reserved, they will elect anyway somebody from the marginalized sections. Or else have a generic reservation of marginalized section rather than very, very narrow nomination, because what's happening is it's killing leadership. The second thing is Mumbai city perhaps can emulate the London model. I was looking at your governance structure, all kinds of alphabets are there in the parastatal organizations. I cannot even name them offhand. There are 8 or 9 or 10 parastatal organizations. There is no coordinating mechanism. The city government, elected component, has simply no role at all. London mayor actually presides over the whole city, but the 12 boroughs, they handle the governance. Now, maybe you can create a structure where the mayor is elected and has control over the parastatals, overall coordination of not only the city of Mumbai today, but also the 8 municipal corporations or some other areas which are proximate. You are the best guys to determine which are the best ones to be brought under the same umbrella, and then budget. But the actual governance and services will be at the borough level. Each of these small cities will take care of the issues. Some such model we require with empowerment of mayor. The city must have a symbol, a leader. You require a Jawaharlal Nehru, you require a Vallabhbhai Patel, you require a Chittaranjan Das, you require a Subhash Chandra Bose. You cannot have people who are faceless, whose leadership is not developed. This is just not modern. India is the weakest local government leadership in the world. Even China is better. Even Pakistan is better. Even Bangladesh is better. I cannot say much more than this. The third broad issue that we should look at is, how do we create a mechanism by which the commissioner is fully accountable to the city government? Today, there are many cities where Mumbai may or may not be the case, where the commissioners change every 6-7 months at the behest of the chief minister. Their only job is to be loyal to the chief minister, but at the cost of the city government. This simply is not right. The commissioner must be appointed in consultation with and consent of the mayor, must have a guaranteed tenure of 3 to 5 years, must be able to deliver, must be accountable to the mayor. The fourth is devolution. Let me give you just 2 numbers. I'll conclude with this, Nitai. Municipal revenues of all municipalities of India, they only account for 1.05% of the GDP. Whereas the urban areas account for about 60% of the GDP of India. And this is declining. Over the past 7-8 years, it's declining. If you take the 6 largest cities, including Mumbai, the country, the total city spend at the local government level is 0.29% of the GDP. Almost 1/4 of 1% of the GDP. And even that is declining. Completely contrary to the trends globally. Mumbai is better. Mumbai is better governed. Mumbai has control of education, of healthcare, can deliver as it proved in case of COVID, etc. But in general, things are pretty grim. This is simply disgraceful. We have to ensure not only the revenue base, municipalities are doing better than earlier in having their own revenue base. Government of India is transferring money through the Finance Commission route, but the state governments are hardly transferring anything. Just so the union transfer to the states is X percentage, now 42% of the tax revenues, etc. The state to local government must be an agreed percentage, maybe 25%. And also transfer the personnel. I'm not saying give the money, but retain the responsibilities. Transfer also the functionaries as far as practicable that can be handled locally so that they can handle those employees and pay the salaries. But for heaven's sake, allow authority and accountability to be at that level. And finally, urban housing. Mumbai crisis, among other things, is one of the most humongous problems of the world, the urban housing problem and the slums. 1.2 million houses, I'm told, is a shortage. Way back in 2012, today maybe the larger number. We have to really, Mr. Sirish Patel is coming up with some brilliant ideas. We have to really look at this challenge. We cannot have a city ghettoized with permanent, insecure migrant population. Because if they suffer, the city suffers too. Each time there are floods in Mumbai, we're seeing what's happening. The recent crisis essentially has degenerated into a migrant crisis. Mumbai must set an example, can set an example. I'm optimistic. Change has to come from cities. I think Mumbai is well placed to capture that. Please do not yield to cynicism and despair. Please lead the rest of the country. I think the conditions are pretty opportune now. I've had a chance to interact with the current chief minister some 10, 12 years ago, along with Mr. Manohar Joshi, the then mayor, municipal commissioner, others to look at Mumbai city. They were very active and very proactive in that. Now that the government is there, which also controls the Mumbai city, has been in charge of Mumbai city for a long time, perhaps politically the opportunity is ripe. And if you show the way to the country, I think other cities at least, even if you can't change the local government architecture of India, if you change the 61 big cities of India, million+ cities of India, their architecture, my hope from a distant Hyderabad today, and as a person with rural upbringing, as a person deeply committed to democratic values and rejuvenation of our country and its governance, is that this park of 61 cities will spread to the rest of the country and actually ennoble our democracy. I'm an optimist, but I share some of the concerns of Sirish Patel. Let's hope that we together, particularly those of you in Mumbai, can make a difference to the country. And COVID could be an opportunity because as Palmer,
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jayaprakash Narayan. I would request you to sort of, just see what's with the connectivity problem. If you can just try to correct that, because we want you part of this conversation. Mr. Narayan has come up with some very, very valid points. He's talked about, of course, he started by talking about the success of Dharavi and the importance of local governance and importance of democracy at the grassroots level. And this is something which is very, very critical, that decisions should be done and taken care of at the grassroots level, at the city level, and the empowerment of the local corporators and the mayor to take decisions. Perhaps we will sort of probe with him further that how, if it had been that situation, what would have happened for Mumbai and how better could we have handled Mumbai in this crisis. Going forward, I'd like to invite Mr. Nawab Malik, who's currently the Minister in the Cabinet of the Government of Maharashtra. Mr. Malik, it's, you all are in a position which is advantageous for the city currently. You can make a lot of change for the city and for this, for Mumbai. How do you think you will be able to coordinate and have been able to coordinate? If you could give us an idea of how you were able to coordinate this crisis and deal with this crisis. As Mr. Narayan was saying, that the government of Maharashtra has actually done well, especially in Mumbai, to control this. Dharavi has been a success. But what more do you think could have been done? Could we have been better prepared for this crisis? Please, Mr. Malik.
उदयाची मुंबई वेबिनार के आयोजक सभी प्रजा फाउंडेशन के साथी, सभी गेस्ट, शिरीष पटेल जी, जयप्रकाश जी और सभी इस वेबिनार में हिस्सा लेने वाले साथी, निश्चित रूप से कोविड-19 को लेके पिछले 5 महीनों से पूरी दुनिया में संकट है और निश्चित रूप से मुंबई जैसा शहर, जो हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं कि ओवर क्राउडेड सिटी है, जब यहाँ पे कोविड-19 की फैलाव की शुरुआत हुई तो निश्चित रूप से एक बड़ा चैलेंज मुंबई को लेके पूरी दुनिया, विशेषकर देश के सामने था। और सबसे पहले मैं बता दूं कि मुंबई में जिस तरह से कोविड-19 को लेके काम किया गया, कोई महाराष्ट्र की सरकार, महानगर पालिका, ये अकेले काम उन्होंने नहीं किया। निश्चित रूप से बड़े पैमाने पे जो एनजीओस थे उन्होंने अपना इसमें बड़ा रोल अदा किया। साथ ही साथ में इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव, वेदर म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेटर थे, एमएलएस थे, एमपीज थे, उनका भी बड़ा रोल था। पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के वर्कर्स का बड़ा रोल था। और एक टीम वर्क की तरह से कहीं ना कहीं पूरी समस्या को सबने मिलके डील करने का काम किया। उस पर हम कहीं ये नहीं कह सकते कि एक किसी इंडिविजुअल इंस्टीट्यूशन की वजह से चीजें हुई, लेकिन पूरी सिचुएशन को मुख्यमंत्री जी स्वयं लीड कर रहे थे और बड़े पैमाने पे निर्णय उन्होंने लिए। लेकिन जो भी एग्जीक्यूशन का काम था वो पूरी तरह से महानगर पालिका के जो कमिश्नर जी थे, हमारे म्युनिसिपल कमिश्नर, उनको दिया गया। और शुरुआत में ऐसा लग रहा था कि मुंबई पूरी तरह से चरमरा जाएगी, लोगों को अस्पताल नहीं मिलेंगे, बेड नहीं मिलेंगे। जो इटली में परिस्थिति हुई उससे भी भयंकर परिस्थिति मुंबई शहर की बनेगी। लेकिन अलग अलग समय पे निर्णय लेके, जैसे कोविड हॉस्पिटल डिक्लेयर करना, प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल डिक्लेयर करना, नर्सिंग होम्स को डिक्लेयर करना, जंबो सेंटर्स तैयार करना, CC2 सेंटर्स तैयार करना, लोगों को आइसोलेट करने की पूरी फैसिलिटी तैयार करना। हमें लगता है जैसे जैसे समय गया वैसे वैसे कहीं ना कहीं पूरी परिस्थिति को नियंत्रित करने में महानगर पालिका को जो जिम्मेदारी दी गई थी, कोऑर्डिनेशन के साथ उन्होंने अपनी जिम्मेदारी निभाई। और आज पिछले लगभग 1.5 महीने से जो सिचुएशन है, एक फ्लड आंकड़ा है 1200 से 700 के बीच में कम ज्यादा होते रहता है। जब हम ये कहते हैं कि 1200 से 700 के बीच में हो रहा है, लेकिन उसी बीच में लॉकडाउन मिशन बिगिन भी धीरे धीरे लोगों को काम करने की आजादी दी गई, दुकानें खुली, भीड़ भाड़ बढ़ने लगी, और जो आंकड़े हमें लगता है कहीं ना कहीं वो नियंत्रित है और उससे बहुत चिंता का विषय नहीं। लेकिन एक साथ ही साथ एक सवाल था बड़े पैमाने पे उस समय में माइग्रेंट लेबर्स ये अपने घर जाना चाहते थे, जिस तरह से चीजें थी, रोका गया फिर भी नहीं रुक रहे थे, गाड़ियों में छुप छुप के जा रहे थे, ट्रक भर भर के जा रहे थे। तो ट्रेन जाने का फैसला हुआ और बड़े पैमाने पे सिर्फ अदर स्टेट के माइग्रेंट नहीं, जो स्टेट के माइग्रेंट थे वो भी माइग्रेट हुए। एक तरीके से डिकंजेस्टेड हुआ माइग्रेशन से और परिस्थितियां नियंत्रण में आई। लेकिन सवाल यह है कि जो परिस्थिति सामने आई, क्या ऐसी परिस्थिति से निपटने के लिए मुंबई शहर पूरी तरह से तैयार है? तो मैं नहीं मानता कि मुंबई का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हेल्थ का ये पॉपुलेशन के अनुरूप पूरी तरह से तैयार है, हम नहीं मानते। आज बड़े पैमाने पे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर तैयार करने की जरूरत है। सरकारी अस्पताल के साथ साथ निजी भी अस्पताल बड़े पैमाने पे खड़े करने पड़ेंगे। हम देखते हैं कि मुंबई शहर में सरकारी सुविधाएं हैं, जैसे जम्बो बीआरसी में हमने वहाँ पे आईसीयू, वहाँ पे वेंटिलेटर आउटसोर्सिंग करके प्राइवेट लोग पूरा उसका चार्ज लेके चला रहे हैं। लेकिन लोगों में विश्वास कम है, वो वहां नहीं जाना चाहते। उनका एक मन में है कि हम प्राइवेट अस्पताल में जाएं। तो कहीं ना कहीं अगर क्वालिटी को लेके लोगों के मन में शंका है तो क्वालिटी अच्छी होनी चाहिए, और महानगर पालिका हो या राज्य सरकार की जो भी हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है उसको लेके लोगों के मन में कहीं ना कहीं एक कॉन्फिडेंस पैदा होना चाहिए कि नहीं, मुझे सरकारी अस्पताल में इलाज करने से कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगा। ये कॉन्फिडेंस पैदा करने की सबसे पहली जरूरत है। साथ ही साथ में जो प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल है वो भी बड़े पैमाने पे जिस हिसाब से पॉपुलेशन बढ़ रहा है उस हिसाब से प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल भी बनने चाहिए। और सरकार ने जो इंश्योरेंस स्कीम लाया है जिसके तहत राज्य सरकार के अस्पताल हो, कॉरपोरेशन के अस्पताल हो या प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल जो उसमें एनरोल हुए हैं, वहाँ पे भी 5 लाख तक का मुफ्त इलाज करने की एक फैमिली को सुविधा है। पहले येलो राशन कार्ड वालों को था, फिर ऑरेंज हो गया, अभी पूरी पॉपुलेशन को उसमें कवर किया। लेकिन जरूरत है कहीं ना कहीं हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को खड़ा करना। शिरीष पटेल जी की बात जब मैं सुन रहा था तो सबसे बड़ा मुंबई शहर का जो एक सवाल है वो है हाउसिंग का। 45 से 50% लोग स्लम्स में रहते हैं, और साथ ही साथ में जो लोग इमारतों में भी है या तो डिलेबरेटेड बिल्डिंग है आइलैंड सिटी की, या जो सोसाइटी 30, 35, 40 साल पहले सबब में बनी थी वो भी कहीं ना कहीं डिलेबरेटेड हो गई। तो सबसे बड़ा सवाल हाउसिंग को लेके है, और हाउसिंग के सवाल पे अलग अलग पॉलिसीज सरकारें आती जाती रहती हैं, लेकिन डेवलपमेंट का प्रोसेस कंटिन्यू चलते रहता है। उसमें स्लम रीडेवलपमेंट की स्कीम आई, रिकंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ ओल्ड बिल्डिंग की स्कीम है, लेकिन जितने बड़े पैमाने पे जरूरत है उतने बड़े पैमाने पे वो हम एड्रेस नहीं कर पा रहे, ये सच्चाई है। और उसको लेके हर दिन मंथन होता रहता है, विधानसभा में चर्चा होती है, कुछ आइडियाज सामने आते हैं, उसको एडॉप्ट करने का काम किया जाता है। लेकिन मेरा ये मानना है कि जब तक हम डीकंजेस्ट नहीं करेंगे शहर को, तब तक ये समस्या हाउसिंग की जू की तू बनी रहेगी। आपको मैं बता दूं कि मुंबई शहर का जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट है, 2 डिस्ट्रिक्ट है, मुंबई सबर्ब एंड मुंबई सिटी। पिछले 3 सेंसस से आप देखेंगे तो मुंबई सिटी का पॉपुलेशन वो धीरे धीरे रिड्यूस हो रहा है, वहां पे ग्रोथ नहीं है। लेकिन उसकी तुलना में उपनगर का जो पॉपुलेशन है उसमें बड़े पैमाने पे ग्रोथ है। उसका कारण एक ही है कि हमने अलग अलग सेंटर्स क्रिएट किए, जैसे बीकेसी बन गया, जैसे ओशिरा बन गया, या और भी अंधेरी का एक सेंटर बन गया। तो जो भी कमर्शियल एक्टिविटीज है वो भी सबब में जैसे जैसे बढ़ रही है, कहीं ना कहीं वहां पे लोड बढ़ रहा है। हमें लगता है कि बड़े पैमाने पे न्यू बॉम्बे बना गया, 8 महानगर पालिका हमसे लगी हुई है। बड़े पैमाने पे सैटेलाइट सिटीज और नहीं नियोजित किए गए, यहाँ पे सस्ते मकान, अच्छे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो ताकि लोग मूव कर पाए। जब तक सैटेलाइट सिटी और नहीं 2, 4, 6 प्लान की जाएगी, अभी एक हम लोग सोच रहे थे कि भाई एक महा मुंबई और तीसरा एक मुंबई बनाएंगे, लेकिन 15-20 साल से उसके ऊपर सोच चल रही है, लेकिन उसके अंदर कोई भी कदम नहीं बढ़ पाया। नैना का विस्तार नवी मुंबई का किया गया, जिस गति से चल रहा है हमें लगता है वो गति जब तक तेज नहीं होती, लोगों को बेटर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, सस्ते मकान और साथ ही साथ में वर्क प्लेस उसी जगह नहीं होगा जब तक शहर को डिकंजेस्टेड नहीं किया जा सकता। एक लॉन्ग टर्म प्लानिंग के तहत ही होगा। अगर मुंबई शहर टाउन जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट है हमारा, वो एक अलग तरह से डिकंजेस्ट हुआ, उसका पॉपुलेशन हर 10 साल में बढ़ने के बजाय हर 10 साल में कम होता हुआ नजर आ रहा है, तो हमें लगता है कि ऐसी तरह से अगर प्लानिंग होगी, कुछ सैटेलाइट सिटी और बने और बहुत सारे वर्क स्टेशन या जो कमर्शियल एक्टिविटीज है वो हम कल्याण में ज्यादा से ज्यादा बढ़ा सकते हैं क्या, हम मीरा रोड में ज्यादा बढ़ा सकते हैं क्या, और शहरों में बढ़ा सकते हैं क्या। अगर इस तरह से प्लान होगा तो कहीं ना कहीं पॉपुलेशन जो मुंबई से माइग्रेट होकर चला गया छोटे शहरों में बगल के, वो उपनगर से भी माइग्रेट होके जाएगा। हमें लगता है हाउसिंग का ठीक है, एक तरफ सस्ते मकान बनाना, लेकिन शहर में ही सस्ते मकान बन जाएंगे ऐसी परिस्थिति आज नहीं है। जिस तरह से शिरीष पटेल जी ने कहा कि सरकारी जमीन की जनता की होती है, हमें लगता है कि शहर में सरकारी जमीन आज के समय में उतनी नहीं है, बची कुची कहीं होगी कि जिससे एक मास हाउसिंग का कोई बड़ा प्रोग्राम हाथ में लिया जा सकता है। एक ही चीज है शिरीष पटेल जी या प्रजा के लोगों को बताना चाहता हूँ कि जो हमारा सॉल्ट पैन लैंड है, ये एक बड़ा लैंड बैंक हम लोगों के पास है, लेकिन उसमें सीआरजेड की भी बड़ी समस्या है, केंद्र सरकार के पास विषय है, राज्य सरकार का विषय है, और पिछले 25 सालों से उस पर डिस्कशन हो रहा है कि सॉल्ट पैन लैंड का हम कैसे क्या करेंगे। 25 साल में निर्णय नहीं हो पाया। वो एक लैंड बैंक हो सकती है जिसपे लो कॉस्ट हाउसिंग या अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग बड़े पैमाने पे बना के कुछ लोगों को हम कहीं ना कहीं, मैं तो ये कहता हूँ बेचने वाले मकान नहीं बनने चाहिए। एक प्लान बनाया जाए कि शहर के रास्ते, गार्डन, रिजर्व प्लॉट, टोटल कितने लोग उसके ऊपर बैठे हुए हैं, और अगर ये जमीन हमको मिलती है तो रीलोकेशन का प्रोग्राम अगर हमने बनाया तो जो डेंसिटी है वो भी शहर की नहीं बढ़ेगी, और कहीं ना कहीं एक प्लान वे से चीजें आगे बढ़ सकती है। दूसरा, एक फ्लड को लेके शिरीष पटेल जी ने सवाल उठाया कि नेदरलैंड बिलो सी लेवल है, फिर भी वहां पे फ्लडिंग का सवाल नहीं। न्यू मुंबई का प्लानिंग करते समय लैंडफिल करके वहां पे लोगों को शहर बनाया गया, वहां भी फ्लडिंग नहीं हो रही है, लेकिन मुंबई शहर में फ्लडिंग होती है, ये बात सही है। लेकिन जो ज्यादा फ्लडेड है, मैं आपको बता दूं कि मुंबई में जो एक मीठी रिवर है और दूसरा जो वेस्टर्न सबर्ब की तरफ एक रिवर है, ये दो रिवर के कारण बड़े पैमाने पे फ्लडिंग होती है। ये रिवर क्या अपने आप नहीं चलती, जो पूरा कैचमेंट थाना का एरिया है या मुंबई की बारिश का कैचमेंट है, वो सारा हमारे जो बांध है पानी के वहां पे आके जमा होता है। एक बार वो भर गया तो ऑटोमेटिक वहां से वो फ्लो करना शुरू करता है, और वही मीठी नदी का रूट है कि जो सीधे समुद्र में जाता है। पहले पूरी तरह से जमीनें खाली थी, आज सारा पूरा कॉन्क्रीटाइजेशन हो गया, रास्ते भी कंक्रीट के बन गए, तो पानी कहीं ना कहीं जो जमीन में जाना चाहिए नहीं जाता, तो कहीं ना कहीं फ्लड हो रहा है। मैं उसको लेके, मैं आपने तस्वीरें देखी होगी, हर साल मेरे मकान में भी पानी आता है। पिछले साल घुटने पर पानी मेरे मकान में था, फोटो वायरल हो गया। तो हमने बार बार अथॉरिटीज के साथ कई सुझाव दिए। अभी एक सुझाव पे उसमें उन्होंने स्वीकार किया है कि जो भी ओवरफ्लो पानी का है, वो मीठी रिवर का एक अगर हम सोर्स रखेंगे तो कहीं ना कहीं फ्लडिंग को, अगर हाई टाइड रहता है, बारिश ज्यादा होती है और ओवरफ्लो भी शुरू हो गया, तो जो अतराफ का अंधेरी, कुर्ला, घाटकोपर या और भी वेस्टर्न सबब के कुछ इलाके, तो इनका फ्लडिंग अगर आपको रोकना है तो ये जो हमारा कैचमेंट का पानी हमारे तालाबों में आता है, वहां से जो ओवरफ्लो होता है, उसका एक तरीका हो सकता है कि टनलिंग करके उसको सीधे कांजूर मार्ग में अगर हमने डिस्चार्ज कर दिया, एक लेवल में कि हम इसका पानी इतना मेंटेन करेंगे कि इतना इंच बारिश होगी तो भी यहाँ से ओवरफ्लो नहीं होगा, तो कहीं ना कहीं कम से कम 25-30% मुंबई का फ्लडिंग का प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो सकता है। हमें लगता है महानगर पालिका ने उसको स्वीकारा है, उस पर फिजिबिलिटी रिपोर्ट तैयार हुई है, आने वाले दिनों में टेंडर निकलेंगे। तो मुझे लगता है कि एक 25-30% मुंबई शहर का जो फ्लड ड्यू टू ये रिवर जो है, रेन रिवर, कैचमेंट एरिया का ओवरफ्लो का पानी जिसके जरिए जाता है और समुद्र का बैक हाई टाइड में पानी भी अंदर आता है, हमें लगता है कि अगर हमने ओवरफ्लो का पानी डिस्चार्ज सिस्टम खड़ा कर दिया तो 25-30% जो वहाँ पे फ्लडिंग की समस्या है उसको रोका जा सकता है। साथ ही साथ ट्रांसपोर्ट एक बड़ी समस्या शहर में है, मेट्रो के जरिए भी एक रैपिड ट्रांसपोर्ट सिस्टम तैयार हो रहा है। लोकल ट्रेन में जिस तरह की भीड़ है वो भी कहीं ना कहीं कम होनी चाहिए। तो उसका एक ही तरीका है कि एक दिशा से दूसरी दिशा में अगर लोग लगातार जाते रहेंगे तो हमें लगता है कि ट्रांसपोर्ट की जो समस्या है वो कम नहीं हो सकती। उसका बेटर है कि हम सिर्फ साउथ मुंबई में ही जो चीजें हैं वही रहेंगी, ऐसा नहीं। अगर हमने डिसेंट्रलाइज किया, अलग अलग सैटेलाइट सिटी में या अलग जो महानगर पालिका है वहां पे भी कुछ लोगों को वहां पे काम का मौका मिल जाए, घर के करीब मिल जाए, लोग डोंबिवली से मुंबई शहर में ना आए, कल्याण से ना आए, अंबरनाथ से ना आए, और अभी तो लोग बसेरी विहार से ना आए, अगर वही उनको वर्क प्लेस या वर्क स्टेशन या वो जो काम कर रहे हैं वो सारी चीजें वहां अगर शिफ्ट करते हैं, लोगों को लाने के बजाय जहां वो काम के लिए आते हैं वो सारी चीजें वहां उपलब्ध उनको हो जाए रोजगार, तो हमें लगता है कि ट्रांसपोर्ट का कहीं ना कहीं कोई समाधान होगा। कोविड-19 में हमने देखा वर्क फ्रॉम होम बोलते से हो नहीं पा रहा था, लेकिन कम से कम कोविड ने वर्क फ्रॉम होम का एक कल्चर तैयार किया है। कुछ ना कुछ इससे आने वाले दिनों में भी निश्चित रूप से चीजें बदलेगी। और एक सवाल जो जयप्रकाश जी ने उठाया कि मुंबई में जो महापौर है वो ऑर्नामेंटल है, ये बात सच है। जो एक्ट है उसके तहत इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है, महापौर है, लेकिन हमारे बीजेपी के साथी भी बैठे हैं, वो ऑर्नामेंटरी पोस्ट है, उनके पास कोई एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर नहीं, डिसीजन मेकिंग का कोई पावर नहीं। एक्ट जिस तरह का मुंबई महानगर पालिका का है उसमें सारे अधिकार कमिश्नर के पास है। पहले 97 में एक मेयर इन काउंसिल का सिस्टम अमेंडमेंट करके मेयर को बहुत सारे अधिकार दिए गए, फिर उसी सरकार में ये असेस किया गया कि ये जो सिस्टम है इससे कहीं ना कहीं प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, फिर उसको अबॉलिश कर दिया गया। हमें लगता है, मैं तो इसका पक्षधर हूँ कि चुने हुए लोगों को अकाउंटेबल बनाना, उनको अधिकार देना, और जो भी ब्यूरोक्रेसी है वो एग्जीक्यूट करने का काम करे। निर्णय लेने के सारे अधिकार अगर चुने हुए लोगों के पास होंगे, जैसे राज्य सरकारें हैं, केंद्र की सरकार है, वहाँ पे डिसीजन मेकिंग की पावर सारे जो है वो इलेक्टेड गवर्नमेंट के पास होती है। लेकिन मुंबई महानगर पालिका में इलेक्टेड बॉडी, चाहे वो मेजोरिटी का हो, मेयर बने, डेप्यूटी मेयर बने या और कमेटीज के लोग हों, उनके पास वो अधिकार नहीं जो होने चाहिए। अगर कोई सुझाव के जरिए बदलाव आता है तो निश्चित रूप से करना चाहिए, चुने लोगों को अधिकार देना चाहिए। आज के वेबिनार में अलग अलग आइडियाज भी आ रहे हैं। निश्चित रूप से पॉलिटिकल पार्टी का एक सदस्य के नाते, सरकार के मंत्री के नाते हम लोग उस पर कहीं ना कहीं कोई जो भी सुझाव आएगा उस पर विचार करेंगे।
Thank you, Malik ji. I would like to now sort of invite Priyanka Chaturvedi ji for her remarks on how can we really, what in the opinion is the role and the coordination between the central and the state government that can be done to really improve the, the management of the city, and how has the relationship been to really see that how cities been able to tackle this pandemic.
Firstly, thank you so much for having me on this important webinar, important discussion on reimagining the city post-COVID. And it was a discussion which was much needed, simply because the city does have its challenges. The city has lots of its pros, which has been, explained by JP Narayan sir. The other thing that I was, I was listening to the other points of view. There's just huge difference between a country like Netherlands versus Mumbai, with a population density which is at around 488 per square kilometer versus people who are in Mumbai living, the per square kilometer per population density is about 32,000. When you compare the flood situation also, it's absolutely wrong comparison, simply because even if you look at the average rainfall, it's around 480 millimeters a month in a year, while Mumbai in 3 days saw over 2,500 millimeters of rain. So I think these are false comparisons and narratives to bring the city down, which is unfair. Of course, engineering, innovation and engineering can help a lot in helping us address these challenges. But at the same time, I also believe, which Nawab Malik ji was talking about, affordable housing, where slums are occupying a lot of space horizontally. If we look at vertical development, where we put these slums and use that particular land and organize lower cost housing, etc., for them, and give them the life of dignity that they seek and deserve, I think that would also be a way to, I would say, regroup the land mass that we have. We are a city which has not a lot of land and anything that we try to reclaim also brings about environmental challenges. So that is something that we also need to consider. Technology and how technology was leveraged during COVID crisis is something which is very interesting. And when we talk about the state and center cooperation, you would have observed that while the center is a BJP governed central government, and the state we have Congress, NCP and Shiv Sena in alliance, but we saw amazing cooperation between the two sides, where we kept our personal differences aside and we continued to work in tune with what the central government was expecting us to do. Continue to adhere to a lot of guidelines that were coming from ICMR. But at the same time, we saw a BJP in the state opposition, which wasn't unfortunately as cooperative, which is fine. I mean, this is not political, but this is something about how cooperation works. The second aspect of cooperation, I would say Mumbai city has shown, and Mumbai city should be leading the way in something like this, in tackling COVID, where we realized that public infrastructure, the hospitals, etc., 80% of COVID cases were being treated in public hospitals. Only 20% were going to private hospitals. We realized that 20% also were paying huge amounts of money. So putting a cap on that. Secondly, public-private participation. When we saw even corporates come forward and be a part of ensuring that we are finding solutions to tackling COVID. So we had many private companies, we had many public companies, we had Mr. Ambani, we had Birlas, we had the Goenkas all cooperating, and we gave them that space to be able to work alongside the government and tackle this challenge. So the spirit of being able to work together is something that COVID taught us during this entire pandemic crisis. And I think this can be a structure which can be used in other cities. When we talk about governance and inclusive governance, and we talk about democracy, this is how democracy works, whereas civil society, like through NGOs, activism through NGOs, we have suggestions coming from them, we have corporate participation, we have CSR funding, and we have a government which is open to all these suggestions as well as infrastructure building. So that is what has happened in Mumbai. Mumbai also created a lot of infrastructure during the lockdown to be able to tackle this challenge. Dharavi is one of the biggest examples that the world is watching and talking about, is how we managed to. It's not just about spirit of Dharavi, spirit of Mumbai. It's also about a government which worked together in alliance and in cooperation and in total confidence with the people of that area, with the people who wanted to help, and gave them all a free hand, and also heard suggestions and implemented them. That is what matters. When your government listens, when your government is willing to seek participation of the residents of that city, that's when you see impactful changes happen. And that is what Mumbai has managed to do. And central government, of course, we might have a bit of friction here and there, but at the end of the day, the idea was to cooperate and get us all out of this entire pandemic.
Thank you, Priyanka ji. I think you made what is happening to know that people, whether it was a central government or state government, whether people were in the opposition or in the ruling parties, actually came together and worked towards trying to stop this pandemic. And been quite successful in doing so. I would like to now just invite Yogesh Sagar ji. Yogesh Sagar ji has been the Urban Development Minister and also an MLA. Yogesh Sagar ji has been working continuously in this during this pandemic period. And Yogesh Sagar ji, how do you see this response across party lines to this pandemic? And all of you all have come together to sort this out. So could you give us some about the experience that you had to look at this, the response to this pandemic?
पहले तो मैं प्रजा फाउंडेशन के धन्यवाद व्यक्त करता हूं कि एक अच्छा वेबिनार पोस्ट कोविड री इमेजिनिंग मुंबई के बारे में उन्होंने आज किया है। सभी मेरे सहकारी पैनलिस्टों ने अच्छी विचार व्यक्त किए हैं। ये काल अभी आस्ते आस्ते इंतजार के अंत तक आया है कि वैक्सीन सितंबर में आता है, वैक्सीन अक्टूबर में आता है, दिसंबर तक बड़े पैमाने पर वैक्सीन या मेडिसिन जो भी मिलेगा वो लोगों तक पहुंचेगा। इसलिए पास्ट के एक्सपीरियंस के बारे में तो हम सभी को पता है कि जिस प्रकार से सरकार ने, जिस प्रकार के महानगर पालिका ने, कोविड के सभी वॉरियरों ने, हेल्थ केयर के जो सेक्टर में काम करने वाले लोगों ने जिस प्रकार काम किया है उसका परिणाम आज दिख रहा है। पर्टिकुलरली ये जो वेबिनार है वो पोस्ट कोविड री इमेजिनिंग ऑफ मुंबई क्या होगी इसके बारे में है। मैं निताई जी मेरे बहुत संक्षिप्त में विचार व्यक्त करूंगा। लोगों को कम से कम लोगों को सरकार की सुविधा की जो फैसिलिटीज मिलनी चाहिए, सर्विसेज मिलनी चाहिए, फिर वो सेमी गवर्नमेंट की सर्विसेज हो, गवर्नमेंट की सर्विसेज हो, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की या सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की सर्विसेज हो। वो जैसे बैंकिंग आज पूरी ऑनलाइन सिस्टम पे चल रही है, सारी बिलिंग ऑनलाइन सिस्टम पे चल रहा है, ऑनलाइन सिस्टम पे सारे परचेजिंग और सेलिंग ऑनलाइन सिस्टम पे बड़े पैमाने पे चल रहा है। हम सरकार की और महानगर पालिका की सर्विस को बहुत ही कम समय में लोगों तक ऑनलाइन सर्विस से अगर पहुंचाने का काम करेंगे तो सबसे पहला ये जो मंत्रालय में आने वाले, एक उदाहरण के लिए मंत्रालय बना दो, सरकार कोई भी होने दो, मंत्रालय की तरफ आने वाले रोज के जो 5000 लोग हैं वो कम होंगे। महानगर पालिका के 24 वार्ड के दफ्तर में जाने वाले हजारों लोग हैं वो कम होंगे। हम देखते हैं दुनिया के अंदर पहली बार हमने जिस चीज का कंजम्पशन किया है उसका बिल भरने के लिए लोग आज भी अदानी इलेक्ट्रिक के बाहर खड़े रहते हैं लाइन लगा करके। तो आने वाले दिनों में ये सिस्टम हम सभी को मिलकर के पॉलिटिकली, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिवली, प्राइवेट कॉर्पोरेट को मिला करके, एनजीओ की मदद से ये सिस्टम खड़ा करना है कि आने वाले दिनों में लोगों को इसकी ज्यादा से ज्यादा सुविधा अपने घर पर या अपने दफ्तर में बैठ करके मिल सके। दूसरी बात, ये आने वाली मुंबई के बारे में या उदयाची मुंबई के बारे में हम जब कल्पना करते हैं तो हमको हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के बारे में, जिसका नवाब भाई ने उल्लेख किया, हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के बारे में जैसे डॉक्टर नारायण जी ने उल्लेख किया, अगर हम हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के बारे में सरकार, कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर, एनजीओ और महानगर पालिका, लोकल बॉडीज, इसको मिला करके अगर हम आने वाले दिनों का विचार करेंगे तो हम आने वाले 4-5 साल में एक बहुत बड़ा हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर खड़ा कर सकेंगे जिसकी आज आवश्यकता हम सभी को पहचानने में आई है। मुंबई के कंजेशन के बारे में हम चर्चा करते हैं, ये बात सही है। मैं डॉक्टर हमारे शिरीष पटेल जी का मैंने ये पढ़ा कि उन्होंने 1965 में नवी मुंबई की कल्पना रखी। नवी मुंबई डेवलप होते होते 20 साल गए। आज नवी मुंबई के कारण मुंबई का रश कम हुआ है, लेकिन हमने एमएमआर रीजन अप टू पनवेल और एमएमआर रीजन अप टू दाणू, जितने एरिया में हमने एमएमआर रीजन बनाया है, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि आज यहाँ पर ऐसे पैनलों के चर्चा के माध्यम से एमएमआर रीजन की फैसिलिटीज जो मुंबई में मिलती है वो कल्याण डोंबिवली में मिले, मुंबई में मिलती है वो भिवंडी निजामपुर में मिले, मुंबई में मिलती है वो कोल्लम बदलापुर में मिले, मुंबई में मिलती है वो वसई विरार में मिले, मुंबई में मिलती है वो मीरा भाईंदर में मिले। ऐसी अगर कोई योजना बना करके आने वाले दिनों में चलेंगे तो ही आप मुंबई को डिकंजेस्टेड कर सकेंगे। कल तक ये परिस्थिति थी नेताजी, मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं कि मुंबई को सराउंडेड जितनी महानगर पालिका है वहां के कमिश्नर भी एमपीएससी से आते थे। अभी डॉक्टर नारायण हम सबको मिल देख रहे हैं। आप बताइए कि मुंबई के एक महानगर पालिका को संभालने के लिए 6 एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव ऑफिसर है और उसके सराउंडेड एमएमआर रीजन में काम करने वाली महानगर पालिका में एमपीएससी से या प्रमोशन से आए हुए कमिश्नर बैठे होंगे, तो इनकी वेवलेंथ और जो सोच है तो इस सिटी को डीकंजेशन करने के बारे में सरकार की MMR की योजनाएं बन रही है, किसी भी सरकार की, उसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन को कितना पावर मिलेगा। तो ऐसी सारी छोटी छोटी बातों के ऊपर इस पैंडेमिक पीरियड में हमने सभी ने ध्यान देने की आवश्यकता थी और दिया है। मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि आने वाले दिनों में हमने सबने आने वाली मुंबई के बारे में सोचते समय मुंबई की एजुकेशन सिस्टम, मुंबई की हेल्थ केयर सिस्टम, इसमें सरकार का रोल हो, महानगर पालिका का रोल हो और केंद्र सरकार का भी रोल हो। अगर एम्स अगर दूसरे सिटियों को मिल सकता है तो मुंबई के सराउंडेड MMR रीजन में क्यों एम्स से मिल सकता है? कि हम सबने मिलकर के सोचना पड़ेगा और ये हम सब आने वाले दिनों में मिलकर के अगर करते हैं तो मुझे लगता है ये होगा। सबसे बड़ा इफेक्ट हुआ है ना, आज हम सभी ने इसके बारे में ध्यान देने की आवश्यकता है। लोगों के मन की निराशा को भगाना, लोगों के मन के अंदर जो फ्रस्ट्रेशन है, जो डिप्रेशन है, लोगों के अंदर की जो नेगेटिविटी है, उसको काउंसलिंग करने का काम हम सभी ने गवर्नमेंट के लेवल पर आपने करना चाहिए, नवाब भाई, महानगर पालिका के लेवल पर महानगर पालिका ने करना चाहिए और प्रजा फाउंडेशन जैसे NGO के माध्यम से लोगों के सामान्य जनों तक लोगों के मन का डर निकालने का काउंसलिंग, फिर ये सोशल मीडिया के माध्यम से क्यों ना हो, ये काउंसलिंग इंडिविजुअल लेवल पर क्यों ना हो, ये माउस काउंसलिंग किस प्रकार से हो सकता है, इसके बारे में योजना बनाने की जरूरत है। लोगों का विश्वास का पुनर्निर्माण करना चाहिए। लोगों की रोजगार की जो समस्या खड़ी हुई है, मुंबई शहर ये रोजगार देने वाला शहर है, इसलिए सारे जो 61 सिटीज के बारे में डॉक्टर नारायण ने बताया, उसमें का लीडिंग सिटी अगर मुंबई है तो ये इसलिए है कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा रोजगार ये सिटी देता है। इसके रोजगार के बारे में भी हम सभी ने आने वाले दिनों में इस प्रकार से ये रोजगार हर घर के अंदर बैठ करके घर की महिला कर सकती है, हर घर का पुरुष अपने घर के नजदीक जाकर के किस प्रकार रोजगार कर सकता है, ले सकता है, इसके बारे में सोचने की आवश्यकता है। मुंबई का मैं ये मानता हूं कि कोविड का पूरे देश के अंदर परिस्थिति में मुंबई ने जो परिस्थिति में संभाला है, एक तो यहाँ की पॉपुलेशन, लैंड का लिमिटेड एरिया, कम एरिया में ज्यादा से ज्यादा डेंसिटी ऑफ पॉपुलेशन, इसके कारण मुंबई को इफेक्ट हुआ है। लेकिन आने वाले दिनों में ये पैंडेमिक के पीरियड में अगर हम री इमेजिनिंग मुंबई का करते हैं तो हमको ये सोचना पड़ेगा ये MMR के सारे रीजन को मुंबई के कक्षा की सुविधा देने का काम स्थानीय स्वराज्य संस्था, मुंबई महानगर पालिका के साथ केंद्र, राज्य सरकार और केंद्र सरकार इस प्रकार की योजना बनाकर काम करेंगे तो मुझे लगता है कि प्रजा फाउंडेशन के द्वारा इस प्रकार का वेबिनार का आउटपुट हम सब मिलकर के ला सकेंगे, ऐसा मेरा मानना है। और इसलिए ऐसे 2-3 जो चीज के बारे में हमने बताना था वो हमने बताया है। एजुकेशन के सिस्टम के बारे में भी राज्य सरकार माध्यमिक शिक्षा तक का एजुकेशन और मुंबई महानगर पालिका प्राथमिक लेवल तक का, प्राइमरी लेवल तक का एजुकेशन की जो व्यवस्था देती है मुंबई शहर में, आज उसको जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर देना चाहिए वो हमने इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर देने की कोशिश नहीं की। इसके कारण ये सारी इंस्टीट्यूशनों को आज तकलीफों का सामना करने पड़ रहा है। हम मिलकर के इसके बारे में भी एजुकेशन की एक नई सिस्टम जिस प्रकार से प्राथमिक और सेकेंडरी एजुकेशन के बारे में कर सके, ये हमने करना चाहिए, ऐसा मुझे लगता है। एक विजन जो होता है, ब्यूरोक्रेसी और कुछ रिजर्वेशन मुझे कुछ वक्ताओं के बारे में दिखे, ब्यूरोक्रेसी और पॉलिटिशियन के बारे में, लेकिन मैं ऐसा बताता हूँ कि ये दोनों चीज ये एक रथ के 2 पहिए जैसी चलेगी। जब ये चलेगी तभी अगर कुछ चीज संभालने जैसी होगी तो उसको आने वाला दिन का समय और आने वाले दिन के संकेत संभाल सकते हैं। लेकिन ये दोनों को मिला करके अगर हम मुंबई का आने वाले दिनों में विचार करेंगे और मुंबई पूरे देश को लीड कर सके, इस प्रकार की कैपेसिटी का ये शहर है, इस प्रकार की कैपेसिटी के ये शहर के लोग हैं, इस प्रकार की कैपेसिटी के लिए लोग आने वाले दिनों में अपने आप को प्रिपेयर भी करते हैं, हम सब मिलकर के कर सकेंगे। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Yogesh Sagar ji. We've had our first rounds of points of view put in by all of y'all. I know it has gone over time with what we had set it out to do, but there is an important need for us to actually talk about. We've talked about. I mean, of course, people have talked about what they did and what needs to be done, but we'd like to sort of narrow this down to particular responses that I would like to take from all of you. I'd like to sort of get a response, especially from Mr. Shirish Patel. These are issues that were raised by the other panelists. One was on the issue of housing land availability and also on the issue of flooding in the Mithi River and how we can control that flooding. But before Mr. Patel, you go into this, what I'd like to do is that a lot of points have been raised by people, the panelists out here, and if we can sort of concise and focus on three things which I think which are critical, that is, which I'm listening to what is coming out here, that we require to reimagine Mumbai. One is the issue of local democracy. How do we really empower elected representatives and people at the local level, your mayors? That's number one. Number two is, how can we really look at housing for Mumbai? Can we envisage and look at a slum-free Mumbai, which will give housing for every citizen and every availability and opportunities for every citizen to have housing in Mumbai? Third is the issue of infrastructure, whether it is physical infrastructure, infrastructure of health, social infrastructure. These are areas that we need to understand. And if we can, then I can request the other panelists to sort of, in a very short time, I know this can go on forever, but people are really eager to know in a short time, what do you think we can do to look at these three areas that we are talking about? But first, I'd like to ask Mr. Shirish Patel to sort of, if you can address this issue on the flooding of the Mithi River as well as housing land availability.
I think these are big questions. It's difficult to answer them in a short time, but let me see. As far as flooding by the Mithi River is concerned, I don't think that's a problem. It's an engineering problem of getting rid of the water which cannot flow into the sea during high tide. During low tide, the river flows perfectly well. If you ask for an engineering solution which can guarantee that Mumbai will be flood-free for at least one monsoon, you will get that solution. But I think we are all being brainwashed into believing that the rain is too much, the flooding is inevitable, the river is too strong. This is utter nonsense. Mumbai can be made flood-free if you make up your mind to do it. If you're not interested in doing it and you want to do other things like the Western Coastal Road or Shivaji statue, that's a pretext. Let Mumbai flood. I think that's really wrong. Housing is a real problem. Slums, in fact, occupy only 10% of the area of Mumbai, on which 50% of the population lives. So they don't take up much area. That apart, the problem of housing is really, of affordable housing is really the cost of land. That is often 90% of the cost of housing, sometimes more. If you remove the cost of land from having to pay for the housing, then I think it becomes completely affordable. And government has not even thought of this, of taking land off the market. Roads are not on the market. Municipal schools are not on the market. Municipal hospitals are not on the land market. So why are all other areas on the land market, especially housing? And as far as infrastructure is concerned, I think the important thing is that before you give permission for new accommodation, whether it's residences or offices, you should make sure that infrastructure is in place that can support that accommodation. If that infrastructure is not in place, then please have that additional population located somewhere else where you can provide the infrastructure. No, I've finished.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'd like to sort of bring in Mr. Dr. Jaiprakash Narayan. There was just one thing which before Mr. Narayan, you respond to the 3 points that we talked about. This is something which is critical. There are certain structural and legislative reforms that would be required to bring about changes in Mumbai. Could you sort of enlighten us what are we required, whether at a central level or the state level, to bring this issue of local democracy, especially this issue of local democracy for Mumbai and Mumbaikars?
There are three things I can think of, Nitai. At the union level, as I said, the constitution has overburdened the whole local government structure. There is no constitution in the world where the federal constitution dictates how the local governments are elected. We have unwisely chosen that model. We created, at the end of the day, an extremely rigid constitutional model, overstructured, underpowered local governments. At least one simple element of the constitution and composition of the local governments, if they leave it to the states, or if they give flexibility in the reservation, application of reservations, so that it can be a generic reservation for all the disadvantaged communities, or the mayor's office of big cities alone are exempt from reservations. Any one of those changes is one thing required. Otherwise, there is no leadership development. Without leadership developing, there is no chance of the city becoming a vibrant democracy. Elections become a perfunctory exercise and nobody cares. That's not right. Then at the state level, Mumbai being a very unique case, probably even more unique than the other cities of the country, each city has its own problems. I think you have to look at the London model. Therefore, your state law must provide for either a bigger conglomerate of the populations, with each one like London City, the boroughs handling the actual management of the cities, overall coordination parastatals at one level. In any case, they must be, all the parastatals must be brought under the umbrella of the city and the mayor. Right now, each one functioning totally in splendid isolation and all accountable to the state chief minister, overburdening the chief minister and the state and underperforming. The third is, even in the current law, I think by an executive order, you can change it. Mumbai is setting a bad example for ward committees. The constitutional amendment 243, yes, says, for any town of 3 lakhs or more population, there shall be several ward or wards committees. The idea being, even 3 lakhs is a big city. It's impersonal. Unless locally, in each community in that small town, people are empowered, local government becomes unreal. It's ineffective. Now, for a city of, I think now probably the population is 1 crore 40 lakhs or something. I think 2011 census showed about 123 lakhs or something. You have only 17 ward officers and 17 ward committees. The convenient ward officers earlier are converted into ward committee jurisdiction. It's absurd and unconstitutional. Make each of the municipal corporators wards as the ward committee jurisdiction. Empower them adequately. Do two things. 10% of the city's budget you transfer to them. But also gives our employees who functioning at local, bring them under their control so that they pay the salaries also. I'm not saying part with the money and simply you take the burden of employees. That doesn't work like that. You do this much and allow them management of the local institutions. For instance, Mr. Sagar, I think, talked about education. What is happening in school education? Mumbai city is spending about 3,000 crores only on school education. How many kids are there in the municipal schools in Mumbai city? It used to be 4.5 lakhs earlier. Now it is 3,11,000 in 2017-18. I suspect now the number is under 3 lakhs. That means you're spending almost 1 lakh rupees per child. What are the outcomes? They're as bad as everywhere. Supposing the school district is coterminous with, let us say, the ward committee, and they're actually given the power because it's a local poor children who are going to the schools there, and you design a mechanism whereby civil society, government officials, and teachers, they're all involved in managing. I'm sure outcomes will improve. And the National Education Policy recently released is a decent policy. We can actually improve upon that and make educational delivery possible. So in every sector, if only you decentralize with responsibility and accountability, you can make a lot of things happen. You need to do at all 3 levels, the union level, the state level, and the local level.
Thank you, Jaiprakash. It was really interesting to know what is really required as far as the legislation issues are concerned. Of course, the issue of having ward committees and decentralizing the activity at the local level, and also bringing back, the accountability and responsibility of paying the salaries at the local level also to the empowered elected representatives. I'd like to now move to the people who are actually the people who can bring about this change. Are people in the political parties and other in the people who are in power and people who are in the opposition. I'd like to sort of ask Nawaz Malik ji, we talked about 3 things that has come out in this whole area of our discussion today. One is the issue of local democracy and how to really get an empowered local system existing and working, housing, and also infrastructure and health, this thing. If you could briefly suggest ideas that as a member of the ruling party and ruling government, what do you think you can do to move towards this as far as Mumbai is concerned?
See, what the suggestion has been given by Mr. Chandrasekhar ji, Jaiprakash ji, sorry. I said local level people should be given more power. What he suggested here, not 17, we have 24 ward councils, 24 wards. And definitely one ward population is somewhere 15 to 20 lakh. Some of the wards population 20 lakh, some of the ward population 10 lakh, 15 lakh. So decentralization of committees, he suggested. One idea was there, area local management committees. So we had made an amendment in the Act, and many of the things should be approved from the ALMs. But awareness is not there. I think area local management committees should be set up. Their voice should be heard. Their suggestions should be heard. The planning of that local area and implementation of any project or roads or garden or anything in that local area should be present before them. The suggestions should be taken from them, and that should be implemented. The Act is there. The ALMs are there. But effectively, the Act had been passed by the state government, but municipal corporation is not implementing the ALM concept. If ALM concept is implemented thoroughly, effectively, I think many of the things can be changed. As far as hospital is concerned, I am earlier also said that identify the land or reserved for hospital, identify the land which is reserved for gardens, identify the land which is reserved for schools, roads, everything, and that should be developed as early as possible, and relocation of that people. See what happening in the Mumbai city. A shopkeeper is there on the road have to be widened. But you are giving them from somewhere, Kurla station, you are sending that people in Govandi, Manpur somewhere, that he doesn't have any business. The one amendment is required while you are widening the road. So I think the backside household, slum holders or anybody, that area should be acquired. The household people, housing people, residential houses should be shifted, and the shopkeeper should be shifted back. So I think widening of the road issue can be resolved. As far as garden is concerned, playground is concerned, hospitals is concerned, the entire plot should be vacated and it should be developed. Then the infrastructure of schools, garden, and social infrastructure can be developed. This can be done, I think, in future. This kind of ideas we will discuss with the municipal commissioner. If anything is required for the amendment in the Act, definitely we will amend. If we have to make any kind of a policy, we are going to make, and relocation program of slum dwellers until and unless we don't create relocation program for the slum dwellers, cannot create infrastructure. Definitely this land, whether it is going to be available or not, salt land, some land we have to identify and we have to relocate the people from that reserve plots, and we have to develop that reserve plots.
Thank you, Nawab Malikji. I'd like to now again bring in Priyanka Chaturvedi ji on this conversation. Priyanka ji, as I said, the 3 points: local democracy, housing, infrastructure. What, in your opinion, can we do to really create Mumbai into a smartly governed city? Yes, there is this whole issue of digitization and this issue of creating, processes which can help in, which is basically small tinkering. But can we really move towards a smartly governed cities? And what do you think we can do in the context of these 3 things, that is local democracy, housing, and infrastructure, to move towards a smartly governed city?
So a couple of things I'd like to mention here, just to highlight about where education is concerned.
Shirishi, I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Where education is concerned, we have, the BMC has revamped the entire education model, and you have seen the results this year with the SSC results, where we've done very well since 2004. Our students from BMC schools, we are encouraging them. We have revamped the schools. We have given them a new logo. We've given it a new look and feel to attract more students and give them the confidence to come to these public schools. I'm sure Mr. Narayan would be happy to hear about things that we're doing, where we are bringing in educational experts who are running private schools, part of private education system, as well as government's education system. We are merging them together, bringing in the best experts to create better outputs and outcomes for the students of municipal schools. I would not say there was, I can disagree with the point of view, but dismissing a point of view and calling it nonsensical argument is, I think, a bit unfortunate when we are debating. Not even once did I mention that the city will continue to get flooded. What I mentioned was, yes, there can be better ideas implemented, but comparison to a different country which has absolutely no commonalities with the city of Mumbai is incorrect. That was my only point of view. Third point of view I'd like to say here, where a city like Mumbai, a state like Maharashtra, can coexist with a Shivaji statue as well as infrastructure development. There's coexistence. In our idea of reimagining the city, let's not reimagine our past and let's not do away with our past. So if it gives a sense of pride, a sense of culture, and sense of roots to a city, to a state, and reminds us of what values we bring, I do not think that can be dismissed. So that's the third point. Now, in terms of building infrastructure, housing, like I said, the one is the horizontal squalor that we see and how we can look at a vertical development. When we talk about public-private partnerships, maybe we have to look at this particular area for housing, addressing housing concerns. We've seen how Tatas have moved into addressing low-cost housing, etc. And we can perhaps look at partnership models that can work. And we're open to all kinds of ideas and suggestions to decongest the city. Along with decongestion, we also need to look at public transport system that we need to definitely upgrade. When we look at reopening the city, the biggest challenge, that the first thing that comes into any Mumbaikar's mind is the city will truly reopen when you start its local trains. Now, local trains we know is going to be a huge challenge with the kinds of traffic it carries. So those are concerns which would need to be addressed. These big infrastructure projects, unfortunately, come under a lot of scrutiny. They come under a lot of red tapeism. So maybe we need to relook at how we redo our infrastructure along with reducing red tapeism. And that, I think those scrutiny also comes because there is a gap, a trust deficit between the people and the government. That needs to be bridged as well. They need to be taken into confidence as well as when something like this comes up. And in terms of education or health facilities, now for health, I personally look at it as something that should be a part of the governance model, but governance model should also look at private players who can be a part of the governance model and provide affordable health, affordable education through bringing in experts from various sources of their expertise and changing the city and its outcomes. So that is what I think should be. It shouldn't be, the mindset shouldn't be that the government, elected representatives know it all, but elected representatives need to know that they can do better when they take people along and take expertise along. And I think that is what we see happening.
Thank you, Priyanka ji. I'd like to invite Yogesh Sagar ji for, there are certain questions that have been coming up. What are the strategies that the current government should do, as well as future government should do to really make Mumbai a citizen-friendly city and city that is an all-inclusive city? Your thoughts and ideas, Yogesh Sagar ji?
देखिए, पहली बात तो यह है कि मुंबई के हाउसिंग के प्रश्न के बारे में मैं छोटी सी बात उल्लेख करूंगा. It is unfortunate and it is a requirement of the time also कि मुंबई महानगर पालिका और महाराष्ट्र की सरकार ये मुंबई के जो कॉस्ट है प्रीमाइसेस के और कंस्ट्रक्शन के लेकर के बिल्डिंगों के, इसकी 1/3 पार्टनर है. 1/3 पार्टनर है. जिसका लैंड कॉस्ट का उल्लेख किया, ये बात सही है कि लैंड कॉस्ट बहुत ज्यादा प्रमाण में मुंबई में है और वो ऐसे मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटी में होती भी है. लेकिन मैं मेरे कांदिवली और मलाड के विस्तार में बताऊंगा तो अगर 20,000 रुपया स्क्वायर फीट में या 25,000 के बीच में कारपेट एरिया में पर स्क्वायर फीट रेसिडेंशियल एरिया बिकता है तो 7,500 से 8,000 रुपया पर स्क्वायर फीट ये सरकार को और महानगर पालिका को जाता है. डेवलपमेंट चार्जेस हो, प्रीमियम हो, ओपन स्पेस डेफिशिएंसी का हो, स्टैम्प ड्यूटी हो, रजिस्ट्रेशन हो, जीएसटी हो, ये सारा मिल करके 7,500 से 8,000 रुपया यानी 1/3 पार्टनर मुंबई की महानगर पालिका और राज्य सरकार ये इसमें पार्टनर है. अगर अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग करना है तो जैसे PMAY में फैसिलिटीज दी है, ऐसे आप एरिया आइडेंटिफाई करके लो बजट के लोगों के लिए ये सारी फैसिलिटीज उपलब्ध करके दे दो। मुंबई में अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग की जगह सबको मिलेगी, या मुंबई के बाहर अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग के लिए MMR रीजन की डेवलपमेंट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर खड़ी करो और मुंबई को दो। दूसरा प्रश्न जिसका उल्लेख शिरीष पटेल जी ने किया था, ये बात सही है। मैं मुंबई महानगर पालिका में 3 टर्म तक कॉर्पोरेटर था। मुंबई फ्लडिंग मुक्त हो सकती है, केवल 2 साल लगते हैं, लेकिन हम ब्रिज टॉवर के पीछे जाएंगे, हम चित्रे कमेटी के पीछे जाएंगे और हम हजारों हजार करोड़ रुपए के बजट बना करके नो रिजल्ट काम करके दिखाएंगे। तो यही पोजीशन मुंबई की होगी। ये इंजीनियरिंग प्रश्नों को स्पेशलाइज करके देखना चाहिए और करना चाहिए। मुंबई को बेस्ट गवर्निंग बॉडी अगर मिलना है तो मेरी फिर से एक ही बात है कि हर व्यक्ति को उसका अधिकार ये क्या है उसकी जानकारी मिलनी चाहिए। आज मुंबई महानगर पालिका के ऑफिस में अगर कोई मैरिज सर्टिफिकेट लेने को जाता है निताई जी, तो हमारे पास जैसे विधायक है, नवाब भाई विधायक है, हमारी बहन प्रियंका जी MP है, उसके ऑफिस में जाता है और लेटर लेके बोलता है कि मैरिज सर्टिफिकेट के लिए जरा एक लेटर दे दो तो हमको मैरिज सर्टिफिकेट जल्दी मिलेगा। मैं ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि ये सारी सर्विसेज, अगर सर्विस जस्टिस के बारे में कहा जाता है कि जस्टिस लेट इज जस्टिस डिनाई, ऐसे ही सर्विस के बारे में जो एक्ट है उसका अगर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन होता है तो ये मुझे लगता है कि मुंबई महानगर पालिका या राज्य सरकार के जो भी डिपार्टमेंट हो, रेशनिंग ऑफिस में अगर नाम चढ़ाने के लिए जाना है किसी को रेशन कार्ड में तो भी उसको आमदार की चिट्ठी चाहिए, पैन कार्ड के अंदर कोई चेंजेस करना है तो भी उसको आमदार की चिट्ठी चाहिए, आधार कार्ड के अंदर कोई एड्रेस चेंज करना है तो भी उसको MLA की चिट्ठी चाहिए। इतने तो लोगों को हमने बेजार और लाचार करके रखा है। ये सारी सिस्टम को सुधारने की आवश्यकता है और मैं प्रजा फाउंडेशन के साथ पूरी तरह से इस प्रकार खड़ा हूं कि आने वाले दिनों में बेस्ट गवर्निंग अगर हमको खड़ा करना है तो लोगों को उसका अधिकार के बारे में जागरूक करो और ये सारी चीजें जो भी फैसिलिटीज या उसके अधिकार है उनको अपने घर में मिल सके, इस प्रकार की व्यवस्था अपने दफ्तर में मिल सके, अपने रोज की लाइफ में मिल सके, इसके लिए अगर करना है तो ये सारे एक्ट के बारे में अवेयरनेस कैंप करो, अवेयरनेस के बारे में लोगों को बताओ। जिसके घर में पानी भरता है उसके घर का नुकसान अगर किसी गाड़ी दंगे में तोड़ी जाती है तो पुलिस उसके पैसे दंगाइयों से वसूल करती है, तो मुंबई महानगर पालिका ने भी जिसके घर में दुकान में पानी भरता है उसके पानी के कारण होने वाला नुकसान महानगर पालिका को आप भरने को लगाएंगे तो 3 साल में मुंबई फ्लड मुक्त हो जाएगी। 3 साल में ये कुछ भी करेंगे मुंबई फ्लड मुक्त कर देंगे। इसलिए ये सर्विस डिनाई होती है, ये सर्विस लेट होती है, ये सर्विस डिनाई के धोरण पर अगर हम काम करेंगे तो ये हो सकेगा। मैं ये वेबिनार के बहुत ही अच्छा रिजल्ट मिले ऐसी अपेक्षा रखता हूँ।
Thank you, Yogesh Sagar ji. I would like to sort of, there have been many questions that have been coming up from the chat for people. But Shirish Patel ji, you wanted to make a point, a short, if you could quickly put in your point, what you were trying to say.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to go back to that issue of governance. We have inherited the governance structure from the British. The municipal commissioner was a British officer, and he was answerable to the British government. Very reluctantly, elected officials were given roles as municipal councillors, but their role was carefully restricted to approving a budget. Nothing else. They have no administrative powers. Now, I think if the mayor is to be effective, he or she has to preside not over a bunch of people who are making the budget, but over the executive arm and the administrative apparatus of the municipality, including the commissioner, has to report to the mayor. Unless you have that kind of change in structure, I don't think the city can really change. It has to be different from what the British had. Thank you.
Very true. Very true. JP, do you want to make a point? If you
I cannot but comment at the civility of the discussion. You know, there are 3 representatives, senior representatives of 3 political parties. But the civilized discourse gives me immense hope. I can assure you, there are very few cities in the country and very few states in India where this kind of civility in discussion is possible at this time. I really should compliment all the 3 of them, Mr. Malik, the minister, Mr. Sagar, and Mr. Trivedi. I hope this spirit of Mumbai will catch on rather than you guys learning from us the bad practices.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. This is something that's wonderful. There are certain questions. I know we are going a little out of time, but I think there are a few questions that need to be looked at. One is we have a question on GST. The issue is that, sir, that we have central GST allocation, state GST, but not local GST allocation. Is it possible to work towards that? Nawab Malik ji, could you sort of give us some thought on that? That there should be a percentage allocation for local GST allocation?
What while implementation of the GST bill had been passed, the issue has been raised, the octroi has been abolished. How the money will be given to the local self-government? A guarantee has been given to the local self-government that what Mumbai was getting from the octroi at the time of implementation of GST and increase year-wise, that will be given to the Mumbai Municipal Corporation through the pool of GST. I think that time also, especially Maharashtra people, Mumbai people, especially Shiv Sena and political parties, were raising this question. When you are abolishing an octroi, then you have to fix an amount within the GST. So it was not accepted, but assurance has been given that what you were getting at the time of abolition of octroi, you will get it, and increase will be there. It is a commitment from the GST Council. We are hopeful that we are getting for the Mumbai city.
So just a follow-up of that that I'm getting is that, can we not sort of have a fixed allocation? I mean, even Vijay Kelkar has talked about that, to have a fixed allocation. This question I'd like to also talk to Priyanka Chaturvedi ji. And there's another point that is there is, but please let's look at the GST aspect. Can we look at a fixed allocation?
Sorry, is that for me?
Yes, for both of you actually, but you can also, since...
when GST was rolled out, all these discussions, like Nawab Malik ji said, were thrashed out. There was a reason why Maharashtra government, of course, had its concerns, especially Mumbai Municipal Corporation had its concerns, which were shared, which were accepted. And I personally believe that we have to work in the spirit of the cooperation that was agreed upon. And in case at any point in time we feel there is a certain deficit, like for example, we are seeing how the GST Council is now deciding, or the central government has decided that they had also spoken about if there's a deficit in tax collection, they will fulfill it from the central government side. But due to COVID, we do not see that happening. So those are concerns that will be hopefully addressed during the GST Council meets, where the finance minister of every state reaches out and puts their concern. And this is also part of that concern. However, I would like to believe we're just 2 years into this entire GST model. We first have to cooperate in that same spirit that we had agreed upon. And in case there's any deficit or any things that we can discuss or change, I'm very certain that the state government, through the finance minister, is going to convey it at the council. So at this point in time, though, I feel when the country is battling the COVID challenge, we are battling an economy which is seeing a downturn, massive downturn. We are going to see huge amounts of unemployment. We would also need to look at ways to coexist and cooperate.
Thank you. Nawab ji, would you like to sort of add to what Priyanka ji has said as far as the GST fixing of the...
Definitely, when the GST bill was passed in the parliament, the issue was raised at that time. So we are assured that Mumbai Mahanagar Palika will get what they were getting through the octroi. Now, assurance has been given. Definitely, we are hopeful that we are going to get it. And increment also will be there. If any kind of a deficit or we are not getting the money, this time definitely there is a crisis with the center, with the state. All taxation or all collection of the money has been decreased. So this is not the time to raise the issue. But if what assurance has been given to the Mumbai city, if that is denied, definitely we have to ask and we have to tell them to make some kind of a mechanism through the assured GST share of the Mumbai Mahanagar Palika will get. If any kind of a default will be there, despite the COVID situation.
Thank you. Yogesh Agarwal ji, I know you want to get into this also, but JP, could you sort of, would you quickly like to sort of...
yeah, very, very briefly, Nitai. First of all, octroi was a bad idea. Yes, Mumbai and a few other cities lost the money, and therefore the government provided mechanism for 5 years compensation to the states and local governments select here. That's the end of story. honestly, I don't see any fiscal room at the national level. If you look at the bigger picture, 42% of the total tax revenues are going to states directly under the Finance Commission formula. Plus, if you actually take the other transfers of centrally sponsored schemes, statutory programs like Employment Guarantee Act, etc., and a few other things, it actually is coming to 50% of the 70% of the total tax, 65 to 67% of the total tax revenues, 50% of the total budget, including debts. Therefore, I don't see any room for any kind of a fiscal liberalism at the national level today, given the realities. I'm a great believer in decentralization, and therefore I want devolution to go to the lowest tier or smallest tier possible. But fiscal realities being what they are, I don't know if any kind of renegotiation of the GST is now possible to include local governments and in perpetuity.
Okay, Yogesh Agarji, you wanted to make a comment on this, but I will just ask you another question, Joe, which is there. One is the issue of the ALMs that has come up. People have said that ALMs were made defunct, I think last year or year before last, and something that is which we need to really look at again. So could you also comment on that?
मैं पहले ALM की बात करूंगा. ये पॉलिटिकल विल बहुत वीक है. ALM को वार्ड काउंसिल की मीटिंग में जहां म्युनिसिपल काउंसिलर बैठते हैं, मेरे समय भी ALM का इम्प्लीमेंटेशन शुरू हुआ था. दैट टाइम आई वाज कॉर्पोरेटर. ये ALM अपने बाजू में आकर के, हम इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव के बाजू में आकर के बैठे और मेरे सिटी में क्या आवश्यकता है उसके बारे में प्रपोजल दे या उसके बारे में चर्चा करे. ये इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव को ईगो हर्ट करता है. पॉलिटिकल, सभी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी इंक्लूडिंग माय पार्टी, सभी पार्टी के पॉलिटिकल लीडर्सों को ईगो हर्ट करता है. इसलिए ALM के सिस्टम को मुंबई में सक्सेस होने को नहीं दिया है. एकदम क्लियर कट बात है. और इसलिए ALM के वोट को अगर बड़ा बना करके हमको लेना है तो ये सिस्टम खड़ी करनी पड़ेगी कि ALM म्युनिसिपल काउंसिल की, वार्ड काउंसिल की हर मीटिंग में बैठेगा, उसकी बात सुनी जाएगी और उसको उस वार्ड काउंसिल में वोट का अधिकार दिया जाएगा. ये अगर अमेंडमेंट करके हम आते हैं तो ALM को वैल्यू मिलेगा. ये एक हो गया. GST के बारे में निताई जी मैं ये बताऊंगा कि GST में ऑक्ट्रॉय को नाबूद करने के समय ऑक्ट्रॉय के एवरेज इनकम के 8% इंक्रीमेंट के साथ हर साल उसको देना, इस प्रकार का कुछ टाइम पीरियड तय हुआ था. उस प्रकार से चलता है. मुंबई महानगर पालिका के पास इसके बावजूद प्रॉपर्टी टैक्स का बहुत बड़ा एक इनकम का सोर्स है, डेवलपमेंट चार्जेस का और प्रीमियम का एक बहुत बड़ा इनकम का सोर्स है. और आजकल ये अनडिक्लेयर्ड वाटर चार्जेस जो हर साल किसी भी स्टैंडिंग कमेटी का इम्प्रूवमेंट लिए, अप्रूवल लिए बगैर 8% से बढ़ता है ऑटोमेटिकली. एक ही बार अप्रूवल ले लिया और ये जो बढ़ता है ये भी आज 3,500-4,000-5,000 करोड़ के ऊपर गया है. ये सबसे बड़े इनकम सोर्स है. और मैं बोलता हूँ हिपोक्रेसी मत करिएगा, कोई भी पार्टी होने दो. अगर हम 500 स्क्वायर फीट के घरों को और फिर उसके आकर के जाकर के कोई पॉलिटिकल पार्टी 750 स्क्वायर फीट के घरों को हम प्रॉपर्टी टैक्स के फ्री देंगे और फिर सरकार के पास GST का हिस्सा मांगने के लिए जाएंगे और मुंबई महानगर पालिका का 78,000 करोड़ रुपए का फिक्स डिपॉजिट बैंक में खड़ा रहेगा. उसके बाद अगर हम रोएंगे तो ये 78,000 में एक छोटा सा स्टेट अपना इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर चाहिए इतना बड़ा खड़ा कर सकता है. इसलिए पॉलिटिकल विल होना चाहिए, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को विश्वास में लेना चाहिए और आगे काम करना चाहिए.
Thank you, Yogesh Agarji. I would like to now sort of give an opportunity for all of you to just give 1 minute closing remarks. There has been a very interesting discussion we've had, and one closing remark of how really you think you can commit yourselves to really changing Mumbai. Please, Shirish ji, if you can start.
Oh, I don't know what I can commit myself to doing, but I would love to see a change in the governance structure. I think that's the first priority of all the things to be done. If we can just empower the mayor genuinely, make the mayor perhaps a minister in the state cabinet or some such thing, and have the administration directly under the mayor, I think that would achieve more than anything else.
Thank you. Jayaprakash Nayak?
Let me go back to what Mr. Shirish Patel stated in the initial comments. We all share this deep distress about some of the unsavory features of democracy. But there's no other substitute. We have done a lot of good things in this country, but we also failed in some respects. I think the art of improvement is understanding where we have done well, why we have done well, how we have done well, and why we have failed, and what are the best practices within the country and abroad. Time and again, it's proved that when you adapt the right kind of practices and design the right kind of incentives, outcomes are radically different. You see that in umpteen number of cases. Now, Amul and the Operation Flood and the whole cooperative movement in dairy sector is a classic example of empowerment which translated into extraordinary outcomes. Mumbai is an outlier within the Indian context, though in the global context, Mumbai is a laggard because we are terrible in terms of local governments. I believe truly that the big cities led by Mumbai can be the fundamental, the leaders, the engines of not only economic change and growth in the country, but fundamental political transformation, irrespective of which party is in power. All your panelists, the three parties, irrespective of parties, they're all speaking the same language. They're all concerned about the same issues. I don't think politicians are bad people. I don't think they are evil. I think they really have an extraordinarily difficult task of reconciling the conflicting interests and the short-term needs and the long-term good of the country. And we have to make it easy for them to find a mechanism by which their political viability and democratic transformation both are feasible. I believe Mumbai offers a fantastic opportunity. And I think this panel and the parties that they represent, including Congress, which is not represented today, they will come together and see that something significant happens in Mumbai to set an example to the rest of the country.
Thank you. Thank you. Nawab Malik ji?
I think the decentralization of the power should be there. Mayor should get more powers, administrative, executive powers, and Ward Council and ALM should be given powers for planning, implementation, and everything. If there is that, I think more effective work can be done. But my dream is there, Mumbai, flood-free Mumbai, we have to make it. And from Mithi River, I am going to give you assurance through technology, engineering, tunnel up to Kanjur Marg, if it will be completed, I think within 3-4 years, then at least 30% Mumbai will be flood-free.
Thank you, Nawab. Priyanka ji.
In terms of my commitment to the city is total, and whatever I can through central government, through the parliament, through the state government, we can use our positive power to be able to change the quality of life of people in Mumbai, to address their immediate challenges, which is housing, which is jobs, which is better quality of living in terms of the quality of air they breathe, the quality of public transport they have, are my immediate sources of concern. And I am absolutely 100% committed to ensure that happens. And along with transparency and taking people along and making them understand, like Narayanji was saying, that politicians' job is never easy, but we are all committed to the city of Mumbai, which has given all of us just so much to dream and so much to achieve.
Absolutely. Thank you, Priyanka ji. Yogesh Sagarji?
3 मुद्दे हैं मेरे। मुंबई महानगर पालिका में जैसे डॉक्टर जयप्रकाश नारायण जी ने बताया कि मुंबई का म्युनिसिपल कमिश्नर, एडिशनल म्युनिसिपल कमिश्नर और म्युनिसिपल कमिश्नर 3 साल से 5 साल का समय देना चाहिए, ताकि मुंबई शहर की महानगर पालिका को इसे प्लेस ऑफ एक्सपेरिमेंट नहीं बनाए। क्योंकि हर महानगर पालिका का कमिश्नर नया आता है, साल में आता है, 1.5 साल में आता है, 2 साल में आता है। मुंबई महानगर पालिका इज नॉट ए प्लेस ऑफ एक्सपेरिमेंट। वो आप एक्सपेरिमेंट साथ में लेकर के आते हैं, उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने का कोशिश करते हैं। इमेच्योर पोजीशन में वो होता है एक्सपेरिमेंट, तब तक उसकी ट्रांसफर हो जाती है। तो एक तो ये होना चाहिए। दूसरी बात, जितनी पॉलिटिक्स है वो चुनाव मुंबई शहर के प्रति के नाते उसने काम करना चाहिए। एज ए रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ मुंबई सिटी, पार्टी के रिप्रेजेंटेटिव उसके बाद में आते हैं, जब चुनाव लड़ते तब होते हैं। और तीसरा, हर मुंबई कैसा अधिकार देने का, कम देखने का, सभी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी करने से, तब जाकर के मुंबई को प्यार करने वाला हर कोई, आज गांव में गया है माइग्रेंट लेबर, लेकिन उसको फिर मुंबई आना है। अगर उसको फिर मुंबई आना है तो उस मुंबई के प्रति प्यार है, वो भी गया मुंबई। ये भावना हमने सभी ने अपने मन में रखनी पड़ेगी, तब जाकर के ये मुंबई को एक अच्छा जीने लायक और सुविधा लायक स्थिति हम बना पाएंगे।
Can I just add one more thing, little point that I had in my mind?
Sure.
Mumbai also is governed by multiple agencies. There are over 16 agencies that are, handling maybe some parts of the road, some parts of the flyover, some parts of the highway. I think we need to have one, coordination committee which ensures that
Very correct.
the totality of, in terms of infrastructure development, is not layered in many structures and does not have too many tiers of permission, etc. I think that is one big source of concern, which I would want our city to address, and people to understand that not everything comes under the power of BMC. Unfortunately, there are 16 other agencies. Maybe we need to bring them all together on the same platform.
Absolutely. Priyanka ji, I would really like to thank all of you all out here today to have participated in this webinar. It is a huge subject, it's a wide subject. Reimagining Mumbai needed more time. And I think in this time constraints, all of you have given some very, very valuable contributions and concrete points and commitments, which I'm really happy, especially from our political party leaders who have participated in this program. The fact that all of you all have talked about the fact that you need to strengthen local democracy, you need to look at infrastructure, social infrastructure, you need to look at physical infrastructure, and also the important aspect of housing. I think these are very, very critical issues for Mumbai, so that we can really truly create a renaissance of Mumbai city for all of us, for all the citizens of Mumbai. And as Jaiprakash ji says, that Mumbai can lead the country in urban reforms and urban issues that are there. I thank you all again very much for participating in this. I know we've gone way over time, but it has been worth it. Thank you very much. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.